The Life and Times of Theodore Addison, 5th Grade Challenge by Jamaal. Monday, Part 2. After lunch, the students were gathered in the auditorium again. Amber sat down at the table, staring at nothing in particular. Her face and eyes were red. James was nowhere to be seen. He went down to the counselor's office to be alone with his thoughts, wishing he'd never met Amber and never told her his story. Not far behind those thoughts were his questions about what he may have done to deserve this betrayal. If he knew that Amber was untrustworthy, he never would have bothered trying to help her. Hopefully, the rest of his team wouldn't find out what he did. He apologized profusely to God, hoping that God would relieve him of his anguish all the quicker. Derek took James's spot since he was the runner-up in the class voting, and he and Ted were out for blood. When the audience saw Derek take a seat next to Ted, the boys' section felt a jolt of energy, as if they were bound to win. It wasn't necessarily because he was so much smarter than James, but that he and Ted had a certain synergy. It might be too late, though, because these were individual challenges. The girls didn't seem to mind the late change all that much. In fact, before the contest resumed, the girls were chanting, "Sleep, sleep, sleep!" They even brought brooms to the auditorium. Veronica looked across the stage to the boys' table, pointing to her neck as she zeroed in on Ted. But Ted was glaring back at her, like it was personal. He didn't respond with a taunting gesture, just a silent, stone-faced stare. Derek, too, she noticed. She wondered what happened to cause this kind of reaction. She figured she and Ted had turned a corner and would at least be friendly rivals. As for Derek, she didn't care one way or the other what he thought of her. The computer began randomly selecting the next contestants, and surprisingly it chose Ted and Veronica. They both stood from their seats, Veronica relishing the chance to go against him. Ted was still stone-faced. As they stepped to the teacher, Veronica knew Ted's first move in rock, paper, scissors. With a sly look on her face, she placed her hands behind her back. Surprisingly, though, Ted said, "You pick the square." It was an open challenge. The teacher was a bit surprised at Ted's choice, along with the look on his face. Only then did it hit Veronica that Ted was not in some competitive mood, but actually angry at her. She whispered, "Hey, why are you looking at me like this?"
"Choose a square."
She hesitantly looked towards her team and asked what square they wanted to choose, and they chose B1. The teacher said to them,
"For this memory challenge, you'll be shown the numbers 1 to 4. A number will light up, and each round, more and more numbers will light up. You'll have to touch the numbers in the order they light up. First one to make a mistake loses, unless there's a tie."
The two nodded, and the first number lit up. 2. Easy. Then 2, 3. Then 2, 3, 1. For the first 7 digits, they remembered the order with little trouble. It was around the 8th digit where they started to lose track. To aid his memory, Ted told himself,
2, 3, 1, 1, 4. The first 5 will always be those numbers. The next numbers are 3, 3, 1. Simple.
For her part, Veronica held up the fingers on her hand as the number sequence flashed. If she couldn't remember the long number in her mind, she'd at least feel them. She isn't a visual learner. She is a kinesthetic learner. She has to move and feel to think. Despite her efforts, though, she blanked on the 11th round, forgetting the 10th digit. She kicked herself for forgetting it and had to guess, but guessed right. Ted saw her faltering and was ready to go for the kill. During the 12th round, he just ran through the first 10 digits to make sure he remembered correctly, and then wrote the last 2 numbers on his hand with his finger. He waited for Veronica to have trouble again with the 10th digit. but this time she forgot the 11th digit instead.
Perfect, Ted said to himself. Veronica got the digit wrong this time, and Ted got it right, winning the square for the boys and bringing them within 1 square of salvaging the memory round. Veronica was crushed, wishing she could have gotten the square. Getting it wrong gave the boys too much hope, but getting it right would have likely broken their will. As she sat down to the boys chanting for Ted, Veronica told her team, "Stave." Whatever her beef with Ted was, it'd have to wait until they could force a stalemate. Not that they still didn't have a chance to win, but the momentum was really cut off. She cursed that lunch break. The teachers kept the round moving. Next up, the computer randomly selected Derek and Olivia. He was ready to go for the win, while Olivia wanted to go for the block at first. Veronica called out to her not to pick the square to block the boys, since it would risk handing them the match. Olivia would have to win rock, paper, scissors, though, to avoid that square. Veronica wished she knew Derek's patterns like she did Ted's. Any advantage was worth it. Derek and Olivia put their hands behind their back and threw their signs. Derek went with paper, while Olivia went with rock.
"Yes! C1, he told the teacher, revealing the question.
For this challenge, you'll need to remember which way you are facing. North, south, east, or west. This way is north, just so you know. You will be blindfolded, your ears will be plugged, and you will be turned this way and that. If anyone in the audience or any of the contestants make any noise, you'll lose the round automatically. No feet scuffing the floor, no sudden sneezes or coughs. It better be absolutely silent. Am I clear, everyone? The students all agreed, and a few scarves were brought out, along with earplugs, to be put on Derek and Olivia. Then the teachers started turning them to and fro, giving them only seconds to register which way they turned. After about 5 turns, Olivia lost her place and couldn't figure out which way she was facing. Sometimes the teachers turned her, but she wasn't sure if it was a 90-degree turn or a 180-degree turn. She really needed her eyes for this one, and she was out of her element. Derek likewise had trouble remembering which way he was facing, and after 10 turns, knew he'd have to guess. After all the big talk about coming into the contest to avenge James, he might just cost the boys a chance to win. Derek, which direction are you facing? The teacher asked after unplugging his ears. North, I think. Okay. Olivia, which direction are you facing? The teacher asked the other contestant.
West, she answered confidently.
Okay. Derek, your answer is incorrect.
The air went out of the room for the boys, and Derek snapped his fingers in frustration.
Olivia, your answer is also incorrect. There will be a second round.
This time, the girls' section expressed their disappointment, but felt some relief that they'd get another chance. After the 2 contestants were reoriented, they were spun around again, careful to map every turn of the foot. Still, it didn't help when the teachers turned them at 45-degree and 135-degree angles. By the 6th turn, they were confused again and would have to depend on luck. Derek hated that it'd come to this again. When they were stopped, the teacher asked which direction the 2 were facing, and again Derek said north, while Olivia said east.
Derek, your answer is correct.
The boys gasped, hoping this was their long-awaited win.
Olivia, your answer is incorrect. Boys get the square. The memory round goes to the boys' team.
All the boys jumped out of their seats, high-fiving each other and cheering as Derek and his team raised their fists in a group huddle. The final score for the day still had the girls leading 10-5, but the win did so much for the boys psychologically. Who could tell them not to at least be a little happy?
Wednesday's likely to be our big day, but we need to do well tomorrow to give ourselves a chance, Ted said to his team. Ted, we need to go see about James. I'm worried about him,
Derek said. Remembering his friend's girl troubles, Ted turned around to the girls' table and saw Amber was already gone. She must have dashed out as soon as the contest was over. Veronica was talking with Diamond, pointing at him as if he did something wrong, and soon enough, Diamond was giving Ted the stink eye.
We need to find James now,
he said, knowing Amber was also likely searching for him. They rushed down to the guidance counselor's office where James had already left. Then they ran outside to the public bus stop, since he didn't need to take the school bus home. But he wasn't at the stop. They called his phone, but he wouldn't pick up. As they were giving up on their search for him, they spotted his twin sister, Jewel, who was in a different class. They ran up to her, asking if she saw her brother anywhere, but she said no, asking why they were in such a panic. When they explained the situation to her and their concern for him and his mental well-being, Jewel told them she hadn't known about any of this since her brother tended to keep his cards close to his chest. She too became concerned and tried calling his phone. But as she was calling, James slowly walked up behind them, looking at the ground, hands in his pockets. Ted called out to him and he immediately snapped out of his trance. They ran up to him and Ted asked,
"Where were you?"
"The bathroom."
"Why?" "We were worried about you. We tried to find you. We tried to call you."
"Oh, I did not turn on my phone yet," James said, reaching into his backpack.
"Well, you feel okay, man?"
Derek asked.
"A little. I talked with Miss Pollard, and she gave me some advice. I just want to go home now." "What did she say to you?"
Ted asked.
"She knew I followed Yeshua, so she told me all things work together for the good of those who love God and are called according to his purpose. She told me some stories from her life and said that God would not waste our suffering. It helps some, but not all. I forgot what else she told me, though. Anyway, I will be okay."
"Why did you not tell me these matters, Yaakov?" Jewel asked. "I could have helped you. I know these girls." James struggled to answer her question. The truth was, he wasn't sure she could still relate to him. After all, she enthusiastically assimilated into American life. Did she still remember who she was and who her people were? Or was she just another immigrant? "Yaakov, let me help you. I will get answers for you. You do not have to be their punching bag," Jewel pleaded.
"Yeah, you're right, Jewel, and Veronica needs to pay for what she's done,"
Ted said.
"Jewel,"
James thought.
"Not Zahava, Jewel."
Even his sister felt foreign to him now.
"But all things work together for good, right?" "You there, James?" Derek asked. "We said we'd help you. Heck, we even salvaged the memory round, and no one ever found out about you-know-what." "Oh, thanks for your help,"
James said as he continued his slow walk to the bus stop.
"See you tomorrow."
As they watched him trudge off, Jewel looked to his friends and told them he'd need time, and that she would talk to him. She ran off to catch up with him, leaving Ted and Derek confused about what to do. All the help they thought they gave him didn't seem to register with him.
"We beat the girls, Bookworm and Veronica, at the same time. He didn't even bat an eye. Obviously, he doesn't care about revenge, Ted." "Well, I do. Come on, I need your help with my invention."
About an hour later, the boys were in Ted's basement lab, hammering out the details for Ted's Hobbies Day entry. As usual, Derek checked Ted's ideas for flaws and added his ideas to make it better. Ted had been so furious, though, that he was scribbling holes through the paper. Derek was mad too, but he managed to keep a level enough head to get through the project. It was tough for him to suppress the question about whether Diamond wanted to be his friend or not. After all, Bookworm seemed to be genuine about liking and helping James right before he took a dive for her. After another couple of hours, the boys put the finishing touches on their device. They stepped back to marvel at what they made. It still needed to be tested, but Ted had to work on his speaking skills so he could unveil it to the class. Ted cleared his throat and rehearsed his presentation.
I now introduce to you and to the world the first device to allow humans and other creatures to communicate, the Bio-PC.
Cut! Late Scratch, Derek said.
That name is terrible. I mean, I get it, but it's not like it's a MacBook for dogs, okay? Change the name. Oh, okay. Don't look like that. It's not like I'm telling you to scrap the whole project. I'm just saying, try something like Anycom or Animal Computer. How's that any different from Bio-PC? Animal Communicator, Derek said. Anycom? Man, I'm just saying the name both sucks and blows. I'm sticking with Bio-PC. Fine. Anyway, with the Bio-PC, all we have to do is attach this device to wherever the animal's brain is. We can even use it with bugs, whose brains are located in their abdomens. After a few calibration tests, we'll be able to interface directly with the creature, just like a human being. But be warned, animals think very differently from people, so you never know what they might be thinking at any moment. Cut! Show, don't tell, Derek said. Okay, fine, but we need a test subject.
Just then, in a dark corner of the basement, they saw a large moth fluttering about, searching for a place to perch. Ted grabbed a styrofoam cup and went to catch it. As he heard the bug bouncing around inside the cup, he covered it and grabbed his new invention. He pointed his shrink ray at it and shrunk it until it would fit snugly on the bug's abdomen. After carefully grabbing the moth and putting the device on it, he synced the Bio-PC to his computer and turned the speakers up. Testing, 1, 2, 3. Can you hear me? Static. Derek changed the radio frequency and told Ted to try again. The moth fluttered about in a panic while Ted tried to talk to it again. But again, there was static. Derek turned the dial again, and suddenly it heard a screaming voice repeating, "How do I get out? How do I get out?"
Hey there, Ted called out.
Excuse me?
Yes, I see you. We won't hurt you, don't worry.
Wait, you can talk to me? The moth said through the computer.
Yep, that thing I put on you allows us to communicate. I can understand you just as clearly as you understand me.
Really? Okay, can you tell me how to get out of here? Derek laughed at the moth's question. The bug wanted nothing to do with them, even with that amazing invention. It had no curiosity, no intrigue, nothing.
We can't let you just leave. But if you do what we ask, we'll give you some food. How about some sugar water? Derek asked.
The sugar water that tastes like fruit?
Oh, you mean Kool-Aid? Yeah, we've got it. All yours. If...
As the boys continued getting familiar with the moth and the new technology, Diamond was putting the finishing touches on her outfit designs and even had a few friends over to model them. They were going to partner with her in a runway show tomorrow. She had ideas for boys' clothes, but none of the boys would help her model them for the competition. So immature. Who knew Craig would be so juvenile? One of Diamond's friends asked. When a friend needs help, you help. He doesn't even like those lames, but just 'cause they're boys, he won't help us.
It's okay. I'm gonna win this thing for us with just the girls' clothes, Diamond said. I even got something for Mr. Gibson. I got this in the bag. Hey Mama, would you braid my hair? I want it braided in the front, but down in the back, with the orange and purple beads alternating across the top. Oh, and did you finish dyeing the shoelaces? I need to dry them. And those ones gotta be crisp. No spots, no wrinkles. Sir, yes, sir, Miss Forte said as she stood at attention. Her attitude was better than Diamond expected. It wasn't often that her mom really embraced her artistic talents. Maybe she was coming around. Since the sewing was mostly finished, Diamond took a load off. The deep breath she took released a lot of pressure. You good, Dee Dee? Veronica asked. Yeah, I just need some fresh air. I'm gonna go for a walk and clear my head. Want me to come with you? Nah, just a solo walk. I'll take my phone just in case. With that, Diamond stepped out the door onto the front porch, again illuminated by the beautiful late afternoon glow. She started on a stroll around the block, taking in the smells of newly planted flowers in the neighbors' yards and the songbirds all over the neighborhood. Before she realized it, she was on Derek's block. Since he'd done so well in the competition, she wanted to congratulate him. She walked up to his house and rang the doorbell for him. But instead of Derek coming to the door, she was greeted by Addison, his little sister. Hey, Diamond, are you Derek's girlfriend yet? He really needs one, she said. What? No, we're just friends. So you're his future girlfriend. Little girl, where is he? At Ted's house. It's so unfair. They wouldn't let me come over. I want to play with Matt, but they said we make too much noise and they need to concentrate. So I've been stuck here just watching that Steven Universe episode where Rose quit. Hey, you know what? I think I'll just go over there and find him myself. Thanks for the info, Allie, Diamond said as she turned to leave. Back at Ted's house, the boys had given the moth, now named Ion, a cup of Kool-Aid as a reward for helping them clean. And just for Veronica, they rigged the bug with a secret device to be unveiled tomorrow, in front of everybody. Satisfied with their work, they went up to the living room to play Mario Kart with Matthew joining them. As they played, though, they heard the doorbell ring. When Miss Addison opened the door, Diamond asked if Derek was there, and she stepped inside. Matthew, of course, was the first to greet her with a hug, as usual. Hey guys, I just finished my entry for the competition tomorrow, and I just wanted to stop by and say good job in the contest today. Ooh, is that Mario Kart? I love Mario Kart. Can I play with you? Ted and Derek instantly suspected she was there as a part of Veronica's plot. The next hammer was about to drop. They gave each other a look and turned back to Diamond. So, is that it? You walked all this way to say good job, and now you want to play video games? Ted asked. Feeling a bit uneasy, Diamond said, I needed the fresh air, went for a walk, and I liked that game too. What's the problem? Veronica didn't ask you to come here, did she? And she didn't ask you to start being Derek's friend all of a sudden, right? Why would she? Never mind. If you don't want me here, I'll just go. Forget I asked, Diamond said as she turned around to leave. You know, Derek, I thought we would be cool. Guess I was wrong about that. So you're just gonna act like you don't know what happened? Ted asked. With Veronica and Bookworm? What about them? Don't tell me all this is 'cause you're mad they were cooking you. You really don't know what happened? Veronica asked Bookworm to tell James she liked him so they could get the upper hand in the competition. Bookworm already confessed. They went on a date and everything. Then James tried to throw the match when Bookworm made a mistake that manipulated him. Kinda like what I think you're trying to do now to Derek. I hope your friend is happy. James is at home probably crying his eyes out.
Diamond's eyes widened when she heard what supposedly happened. She could believe that Veronica put Amber up to something like that, but she had no idea Amber would go through with it. It seemed cruel. What could Veronica have told her to make her do something so out of character? Without saying a word, Diamond opened the door and stormed out. The boys looked at each other, torn between thinking she was outraged at Veronica or angry that her plan was thwarted. Then they looked at the moth, and their eyes lit up. They sent Ion outside to follow Diamond, hovering out of view as it recorded where she went and what she said. They knew they would get an answer in the next few minutes.
Veronica!
Diamond thundered when she arrived home. Her parents and friends had no idea what made her so livid. Veronica came down the stairs, confused what the problem was.
You don't care who you hurt. All you want is to win, Diamond said, her eyes piercing into Veronica's soul.
Whoa, Dee, where is this coming from?
I just got back from Ted's. He and Derek said you told Bookworm to tell James she liked him, knowing he'd do worse in the competition. You look me in the eye and tell me that didn't happen.
I did it, Veronica said, shrugging. Worked out even better than I imagined. I saw James trying to throw the match. It didn't matter in the end. We still lost that one, but...
And you don't see a problem with what you did?
What problem? Bookworm got the boy she wanted. I got a distracted opponent. And since it didn't even work out, I probably did them more of a favor.
Everyone thinks she toyed with him. Really, you were just toying with both of them. Do I really have to spell this out for you?
It'll be fine as long as she tells him she really likes him.
Her connection to you taints her. They won't believe her. They don't even believe me. They think I was in on it.
Wait, you really did that to Bookworm? One of her friends said from the sofa. That's low. You really put her in a bad spot. Yeah, it's kind of like a deal with the devil, another friend said. Well, she made the deal, right? I didn't make her do anything she didn't want to, Veronica said.
So you're okay with being the devil then? Miss Forte asked.
Veronica opened her mouth to reply, but then stopped to think what harm her actions truly caused. As she looked at the displeasure on her friends' faces, she felt ashamed of herself. Her mom's mantra repeated in her head. We came here to minister to the people. But looking around the room, she felt like a hypocrite, a villain, a devil. Seeing the guilt on her face, Diamond said, You need to go fix this. Veronica nodded and started towards the door. The room was silent until she left. When the door closed, Diamond somberly asked her mom to do her hair. The festive mood was long gone. Now it was just work. I mean, Bookworm's kind of a nobody, but I could never imagine doing something like that to her, one of Diamond's friends said. Yeah, and that James kid is weird too. But if I was him, I'd be trying to go back to whatever country I came from after something like this, another friend said. The girls' phones then started buzzing. When Diamond checked her phone, she saw that word had been spreading about what Veronica did. Since Veronica was on the group chat, she'd be getting it too. It wouldn't be long before the whole grade knew. Another buzz came through with an audio recording. When Diamond opened the audio file, she heard the muffled recording of their confrontation being replayed. She started asking who recorded them, but none of the girls knew, and swore they weren't recording, and even showed their phones as proof. When she listened to the recording again, she knew they were telling the truth, since the recording started with her shouting for Veronica. They wouldn't have known this was about to happen. Either way, Veronica would be in damage control, and by association, so would Diamond. You're friends with her after all this? One text message to Diamond read. How can she be so cruel? How? Another soon followed from a different classmate. Diamond hung her head as she started replying to the dozen or so messages that started coming through. Back in Ted's lab, he said, "We got him," as the boys fist bumped. "Good work, Ion. Come on back." "Yep," Derek said, leaning back in his seat. "Turns out she likes James for real. I don't know if that'll make him feel any better, though." "Does it make you feel any better?" Ted asked. "It seems Diamond wasn't in on it." "I don't even know if it matters," Derek said, slumping in his chair. "I think we just burned that bridge. Back to square one." As Veronica walked home, she also began receiving texts from her classmates and friends. All condemned her actions. All said she crossed the line. "How would you feel if some cute boy started dating you 'cause of a dare?" one text said. The guilt was weighing heavily on her. She started to wish she had never said anything to Amber at all. Then a thought occurred to her. Why wasn't Bookworm getting any of the blowback? She agreed to it. All Veronica did was give her a push in that direction, but the rest was between her and James. Surely she had some responsibility. She opened her door and went inside to call Amber directly. "James?" Amber said as she answered the phone. Not quite." Ugh! Amber groaned louder than Veronica ever heard her voice get. "I thought this might have been his number. Instead, I get you." "Don't pin this whole thing on me. You went ahead with it. I didn't do or say anything else after we talked at lunch last Friday. If anything, I was helping you." "You know what? You're right. I was better off without your help. At least no one would have hated me. At least I wouldn't have made someone cry." "Hey, if anyone is hated, it's me. You should see my text messages." "Well, maybe you deserve it," Amber shot back. "What if I told James how I felt without you being involved?" "You wouldn't have." "Well, if eventually I did someday, we'd have been happy together. No worries, no suspicions. Now because of you, he doesn't trust me, and you talk like you were doing me a favor? You were just using me. I was better off never meeting you," Amber said. "You know, I never told you this, but when you kicked me to the curb for your new best friends, I was sad for weeks. That nice park I showed you, and those nice places to eat I showed you, you started taking your new friends there. I stopped going because they reminded me too much of you. But now, maybe that was a blessing in disguise. You're such a horrible person, Veronica. And all those friends you made in South America would be ashamed to see what you've become." Veronica paused for a moment to think about her friends from Peru, who thought she was the nicest girl they ever met. She remembered all the late nights talking and doing each other's hair and teaching each other their languages. In reality, if she saw them again today, they would look like Amber. If she met Amber in Peru, they'd be the closest of friends to this day. When she moved to the U.S., Amber came alongside Veronica instantly and befriended her, even though Veronica could tell she was shy. "You have a point," she conceded after a long silence. It was tough to say sorry. "Can I ask you a question? Why did you want to be my friend in the first place?" "You said you went to South America and could speak Spanish. I came and said hi.
Oh, okay. Well, how can I make it up to you? I want to help.
I really could use less of your help,
Amber answered. Veronica groaned and said, I'm trying to tell you I'm sorry, okay?
Then say it.
Okay, I'm sorry. I was wrong.
Anything else?
Come on, bookworm. Do you just want to rub my face in it or something?
You're just saying sorry to get off the hook. You don't sound like you really mean it. How about this? Let's talk tomorrow. And if I like what I hear, I'll forgive you. But if you really want to make it up to me, you can start by, I don't know, giving me James's phone number. You do still have it, right? Veronica didn't really have James's number. She deleted it after the awards ceremony when they met the president. True, James was there to help save the Tri-City area, but that didn't mean they became friends. However, she did have Jules' number. That was close enough. She passed on the number to Amber, and after they hung up, the deluge of angry text messages continued flowing in. I'm public enemy number 1 now, she said as she laid her head against the wall. After taking a bit of pleasure making Veronica squirm, Amber started dialing for James. Then she paused and took a breath. She knew he wouldn't be happy to hear from her. She knew she'd have to do a much better job explaining herself to him. But even then, she had no idea whether he would give her another chance and pick up where they left off. She took one more breath and pressed the green button. Hello? Hi, Mrs. Asafa? Is James there?
Bookworm?
Jill?
My brother is asleep. He cannot talk to you. Not that he would even want to after all you did to him.
Jewel, please listen. There's been a big misunderstanding. I couldn't clear it up when it happened, and I didn't have any other way to contact James. Please go get him. I'm not here to hurt him.
After thinking about it for a moment, Jewel relented and went to get James. Amber could hear in the background that James was unwilling to take the phone. He refused again and again, shouting at Jewel in his native language to get that phone away from him, until Jewel finally gave up. She put the phone back to her face and said, He won't take the call. Sorry.
Wait, don't hang up. Just put this phone on speaker and I'll talk to him directly,
Amber said. Jewel pressed the speaker button and went back to her brother's room and held the phone out for him to hear.
James, listen please. I didn't get to tell you. It was all a big misunderstanding since everything was coming at me so fast. Yes, it's true. Veronica asked me to tell you I like you, but it's only because it was true. I knew she was trying to use me, but it gave me a chance to tell you how I really felt.
James got up and took the phone, asking his sister to leave them alone to talk. How can I trust you? James asked. Why should I believe you?
James, I really do like you. I always have. I just couldn't tell you. But I don't know what I could say to make you believe me. I never wanted to hurt you. I'm so sorry. I wish I could change this, but I can't.
James heard Amber's voice quivering, but he wasn't sure she was sincere. He asked, When you gave me advice in the restaurant, was it for real, or were you tricking me?
Of course it was real! James, I don't have anything else to do in the competition. If I called you, it would be because I actually cared about you. I don't even care which side wins. I never did. I didn't even study for it. I was thinking about you the whole time. Por favor, créame. Please believe me.
James did believe her,
but he had a hard time opening up again after the turmoil. Still, he had a nagging question.
Why would you not look at me during the day?
I don't know. I was afraid everyone would know, and then it would become some big thing. I didn't want to be the center of attention. I already didn't even want to be in the contest, but I was, so I had to deal with it. Amber was still sniffling as she waited for James to respond. He mulled over her words and searched for any reason to suspect her further. Everything checked out, though. He reminded himself.
Luke 17, verse 3 said, "If someone offends you, rebuke them, and if they repent, forgive them."
He took another breath and said,
"It has been hard to accept being here, and it is even harder to trust people. If you want to be friends, you cannot hide the truth from me. Lying is bad, but hiding the truth is just as bad."
I understand, but I wasn't trying to hide anything from you. I just didn't have your number, so I couldn't tell you, Amber said.
"Oh,"
James replied, realizing he had her number now. But she never had his. She had been unable to contact him.
"I was wrong all this time for nothing. I should have tried to listen to you earlier."
It's okay. Are we okay after this? James sniffled one final time as a smile crept across his face.
"Yes, we are fine."
On the other side of the door, Jewel listened with glee. She pumped her fist and thought, "Good for you, twin,"